nigga and I'm off the block. I'ma break it down and go rock for rock. Keep the pot till it bubble up. That 4 for 20, that double up. All the fiends stay huddled up. They want some of that butter, man. Hit the pipe with that ice white. That shit'll make them still stutter, man. I was living in the gutter, man. At 15, I was gang banging. I was riding around here toting the strap, ready to leave a nigga with his brains hanging. Pay the hustle and just maintaining. We was hanging out on the back street. We hooded up like a track meet. We kept the heat on the back seat. Niggas knew not to ask me what hood I'm from and what set I claim. I'ma tell a nigga Lakeside, then I'ma let that Beretta rain. Now I'm all about my cheddar, man, but I still bust a nigga ass though. Hit a nigga right in his mouth and knock him out like Glass Joe. Now peep the way that cash flow. We got it coming in off the dock. Bitch niggas notify the cops. We keep the birdies coming by the flock. We keep the birdies coming by the flock. Don't watch the clock, nigga, watch the Glock. I was out here all night, nigga, on the clock, standing on the block.
I stood on these blocks, stood on these blocks, I stayed on these blocks, stayed on these blocks. I stood on these blocks, stood on these blocks, I stayed on these blocks, stayed on these blocks. I stood on these blocks, stood on these blocks, I stayed on these blocks, stayed on these blocks. I stood on these blocks, stood on these blocks, I stayed on these blocks.
Well, it's your neighborhood dope boy, still in the kitchen cooking that coca. Mix it with 2.3 grams of soda. Whip it round, cool it down, rocking it up the boulders. I hit the block competition, know that it's over. Bread in the toaster, cut the butter, clock in the dope, bruh. You gotta see it to believe it, I'ma show ya the king life, nigga. It ain't all by what it seem like. Money, hoes, cars, close to some, that's the dream life. I came up young and thuggin', nigga, living that street life. I stood on these blocks, slanging rocks to the morning light. A real nigga never fraud. I run with a terror squad, a crew of killers. When nigga play these triggers, I'm telling y'all the streets, man, we run them, yep. Moving it from right to left. When you enter the side by the lake, remember watch your step. Cause it ain't no telling when them goons will come out. Kick in your door and shut a barrel of that foe in your mouth, in your mouth.
Stood on these blocks.